Hi everybody, it's Nikki here and welcome to a bookish video. Today I have my December reading wrap up for December 2022. I will be talking about my thoughts and feelings about these books, but I will not be going into any synopses for these books because I do that in my TBR video, my Bookgammon TBR video, or you can generally find the synopses for all of these books via Goodreads, or any book selling website will always give you a synopsis of any of these anyway. So if my thoughts and opinions of these books interest you in any way, I'll try and think of like keywords to like pull you in, I suppose. Then go and have a look at the synopsis via those other websites. So I had a bit of a better month in December for reading, and I think that was because I read some good books. So let's get started. The first one of those was Magic Study by Maria V. Snyder. This is a sequel to Poison Study, which I previously read. Obviously, I wouldn't read book 2 before I read book 1. My notes on this says, new part of the world to explore, the other side of the conflict. Magic is interesting, but sometimes too convenient. Yes, sometimes, it's been a while since I read this one, so please allow my memory to try and catch up. But yeah, sometimes the magic just... what this girl can do with her magic just solved problems a little too easily in some instances, but I did enjoy it and I'm happy to continue on with Fire Study. I think somebody said to me that this started off as a trilogy, but then Maria V. Snyder went on to write more books in the series, so I don't know if I can stop at Fire Study and like feel like it's finished for me, or whether I would continue on after Fire Study, but I'm definitely very interested in picking up Fire Study very, very soon, so that I can continue with this trilogy or this series, whatever it may be. So Magic Study got a 4 stars from me. The next book I read was actually an ebook, and it was Inner Holidays by Christina Lauren, I think. Bear with me, I will check my reading journal. Yeah, Christina Lauren, and I read this via Kindle. It was kind of like a Christmas Groundhog Day, and I mean, I finished it, and it's a contemporary, so the fact that I finished it says something, because you know me and contemporaries, if I don't like it, it's DNF'd very quickly. So the fact that I finished it, you know, that says something. Good story, similar to The Kissing Booth, but adult, but not enough smut. It had a lot of fade scenes. Yeah, if I remember rightly, why did I think it was like The Kissing Booth on Netflix? Why did I think it was that? Oh yeah, because she fancied one guy but ended up falling for another. I don't know. I can't remember why I likened it to Kissing Booth. I don't know. But it was adults, and yeah. Oh, I think I know why. Kissing Booth 3. I likened it to Kissing Booth 3 because the girl was trying to save the holiday home that they all go to for Christmas, because the family members who owned the holiday home that they all went to every Christmas was deciding to up and sell, and she was trying to, when she got stuck in this Groundhog Day thing, was trying to stop the owners from selling it. So I think that's where I likened it to The Kissing Booth, because in Kissing Booth 3 they're trying to convince the owners not to sell their summer house. Anyway, but yeah, not enough smut. They had a lot of fade scenes. It was almost like Christina Lauren wanted to put the smut in, but was too frightened to actually go there. So just as you were getting to the good stuff, the scene was finished and ended, and you were like, oh, okay. Very unsatisfactory. So this one, I believe, only got 3 stars from me, which is fairly decent for a contemporary for me. To be fair, it's probably a 2. I mean, I'm glad I read it, but I won't think about it, like, after this wrap up. So it's probably a 2, actually, but I gave it a 3. Anyway, but yeah, so, look, if you're gonna have romance in your books, have romance. Stop fading to black. It's annoying. So yeah, there's that one. The next one I read was The Damned by Renee Ahdieh. This is a sequel to The Beautiful. I started this in November, but didn't finish it until December. It took me a while to finish. My notes on this says, great progression of the story. Didn't feel like a filler book at all. Enjoyed the conflicts in the relationships and the revelations. Yes, you know how sometimes the middle book in a trilogy sometimes feels a little bit like it's like a filter book between 1 and book 3. This didn't feel like that. It felt like it definitely deserved its own story. It definitely had its own storyline and its own progression, and I really like that, because that is such a hard thing to find in sequels, in trilogies, because a lot of authors are really good at the beginning and really good at the end, but they get a little bit lost in the middle. Not that I could do any better. They're doing a darn sight better than I am. I've not published anything, and Renee Ahdieh has published a lot. But so I don't know who I am to critique their work, but as a reader, you do sometimes feel like the middle book is a bit of a filler between books 1 and book 3, but this one definitely did not feel like that. And I gave this one 4 stars. So yeah, I really thoroughly enjoyed it. The next book I read was actually an audiobook. I was feeling in the Christmas spirit, and I came across the audiobook on Scribd for Letters from Father Christmas by J.R.R. Tolkien. I actually listened to this twice because it was a relatively short audiobook. It was only 2 hours long, so I listened to it twice. Mainly because the first time I was listening to it, I was playing Animal Crossing at the time, so I wasn't quite concentrating on everything. So I listened to it again, and yeah, managed to catch up. So loved these letters and the stories within them. The North Polar Bear was my favourite character. I must buy a physical copy. Yes, absolutely. Where did I put my phone? Where's my phone? Now let me give you some information about this, because I think this is absolutely glorious. The Father Christmas letters, which are also known as Letters from Father Christmas, are a collection of letters written and illustrated by J.R.R. Tolkien between 1920 and 1943 for his children from Father Christmas. So he wrote these to his children, but pretended they were from Father Christmas. They were released posthumously by the Tolkien estate on the 2nd of September 1976, the 3rd anniversary of Tolkien's death. They were edited by Bailey Tolkien, the second wife of his youngest son, Christopher, and the book was warmly received by critics, and it has been suggested that elements of the stories inspired parts of Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings, and I can definitely see that, because there was mention of hobbits in there, and dwarves and elves and things like that. So this is absolutely a glorious book. I think listening to it on audiobook, I kind of lost some of the magic. So I think I only gave this a 3 stars. Yeah, I gave this a 3 stars. But I know that if I were to buy a physical copy and have all of those pictures and illustrations to look at, this would definitely raise up the rating. But I was missing that immersion into the story because I was listening to it via audiobook. I mean, it was great because the audiobook had different voices for all the different characters. The North Pole Bear, I just wanted to give him a hug. But yeah, and he kept getting in trouble. And And yeah, it was read so beautifully. It was narrated by Derek Jacobi. Was it? Yeah, Derek Jacobi, and his voice was just perfect for that book. It was just magical. If you get the chance to listen to it, I know it's not Christmas anymore, but if you do get the chance to listen to Letters from Father Christmas, read by Derek Jacobi, wow. On Scribd, just give it a listen. It's only 2 hours out of your day, and if you listen to it on a 1.5 speed, it's even less than that. So just give it a good listen. Seriously, will make your day. But I'm going to be looking for a physical copy because I thought this was glorious. The next book I read was Caraval by Stephanie Garber. Why did this sit on my shelves for so long not being read? Because I loved this. My notes say, loved the characters, but would have liked a bit more mystery. Though the woman in the tunnels, who was she? That was never answered. Like the reveal at the end, where is the story going next? Will we follow Donatella? Now I can say that yes, in Legendary, which is the sequel, we do follow the sister character Donatella. I read that in January, so I will be talking about that in January's wrap-up. But Caraval is a really, really good story. We have, what's her name?
My memory is so bad. Lisa? Scarlet.
Yeah, Scarlet. I don't know where I got Lissa from. We have Scarlet, who is engaged to be married to a man she has never met. However, they have been messaging through letters, and this marriage has been arranged by her father. Her father has been very abusive to her and her sister since their mother disappeared many years ago. And Scarlett has been writing to Master Legend, who runs Caraval, for years and years to try and take part. I said I wasn't going to do synopsis, but that's basically it. It's a game in the book, and there's mysteries and who's who and twists and turns, intrigue and don't trust who people say they are and things like that. And it's just, I really liked the relationship that is developing in here between Scarlett and one of the other characters. Yes, please. However, spoiler for Legendary, I like that one a bit more, but I really, really did enjoy this. I gave this one 4 stars. Now, the next book or books I'm going to talk about together, although the sequel was actually the last book that I read in December. I didn't read these one after the other, but they are Wicked and Torn by Jennifer L. Armentrout. So I had this on my TBR, Wicked, and I was excited to get to it. It sounded really interesting. So my notes say Bad Fae versus Fae Hunters. Smut was good. Love Tink, bit of humour in the story. Ordered the sequel even, straight away. Yeah, absolutely. My notes for Torn says the story takes a dark turn, but love the continuation of the storyline. Same good twists and turns, excited for the final book. Trigger warnings, however, in the sequel for threatened rape and kidnapping. The kidnapping actually happens and rape is threatened. But yeah, these are good. These are good. I have the 3rd book, the final book in this trilogy, on my TBR for January. I've just begun it last night, and I'm just, yes, absolutely yes. I loved these books, and I am really, really interested in now picking up her other series, the From Blood and Ash, I think it's called, that everybody was going crazy over a year or 2 ago, and I rebelled because I didn't want to be the same as everybody else. So I bought this series from her instead. Well, I bought Wicked instead, thinking I would read that and be different to everybody else. Glad I did though, because I really, really like this book. And yes, smut is definitely not fade to black in here. No, 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 no. They get down and dirty and I like it. So yeah, I really thoroughly enjoy this. These were both 5 stars for me. I want more. I want more of this indie published fantasy romance. And yeah, absolutely. These are published by Amazon, and there's a reason why it was published via Amazon. And Jennifer L. Armentrout says in her acknowledgements at the back that, you know, she wanted them to be published by Amazon for a reason. Amazon does play a part in these books, and it is really funny. Tink, oh my god, Tink. I loved him in the first book. But oh my god, in the second book, I want Tink's story. I want Tink's story. I want a whole trilogy about Tink. That's how much I love him. If you don't know who Tink is, you're just going to have to read the trilogy, aren't you? You're just going to have to read it. So that's Wicked and Torn, and then the third book in the trilogy is Brave by Jennifer L. Armentrout. Yeah, face smut. Well, human smut, but good smut. And Wicked Fae. So yeah, and then Tink, who I'm not going to spoil who he is, but I want a book about Tink. I want a whole trilogy about Tink. He's awesome. I like him. So yeah, that's that one. And then last but not least, I finally finished the trilogy of the Curse Workers by Holly Black by reading Black Heart. So my notes on this says, final book in the trilogy, felt the problem in this book wasn't as bad as it was meant to be. Felt like the resolution should have been the first thought, not the last. Ending was a bit cheesy, driving off into the sunset together. That might have been a spoiler, so I might cut that bit out. But yeah, ending was a bit cheesy. I gave this one 3 stars. I just felt like it was supposed to be the wrap up of everything that had happened in book 1 and book 2, but because book 1 and book 2 were kind of their own stories, this kind of felt like it didn't need to happen. And it was just like the solution to the problem in here. That would have been my first thought, to do that, not like as a last resort kind of thought, you know, of what's his name, Castle? Yeah, Castle, like going off and doing his own thing, and oh, shock, we never thought of that. That would have been my first thought, you know. So yeah, I didn't enjoy this as much, and I am thinking that, I mean, I have a whole shelf for Holly Black's books because I love her Cruel Prince series, and I loved her Magisterium series that she co-wrote with Cassandra Clare. But this series, the Curse Workers series, not so much. They've all been 3 stars. And yeah, I'm never going to read these again. So, and they're all in I have all the hardbacks. So I could pass these on to someone who might be interested in these. Charlotte, let me know if you're interested in this series. But yeah, it's not the Cruel Prince. It doesn't live up to her Cruel Prince. So yeah, so that one. I gave that 3 stars. So that was all the books that I read. So let's go into the statistics. So the total number of books I read was 8. The physical pages I read were 2,264. The ebook pages of Inner Holidays by Christina Lauren was 285. I did not listen to any audiobooks of books that I owned, so that was 0 hours, but books that I borrowed, which was the Letters from Father Christmas, was 2 hours and 7 minutes. See what I mean? 2 hours and 7 minutes. Put that on a 1.5 speed. You can get it done. while you're washing the pots. My star ratings, I gave 2 books 5 stars. Those were the Jennifer L. Armentrout books. I gave 3 books 4 stars, 3 books 3 stars, and there was no 2 stars, no 1 stars, and no DNFs. For genres, I read no thrillers, I read 1 contemporary, no classics, no mangas or graphic novels, no non-fiction, 1 middle grade, and 6 fantasy and sci-fi. I was really in that fantastical mood in December. The origin of the books, I had 2 that were borrowed, the ebook and the audiobook, and I read 6 that I physically own. The format of the books, I read 6 physically, 1 ebookily, and 1 audibly. The bindings of those physical books, 4 were paperback, 2 were hardback, and the gender of the authors, 1 was male and 7 were female. So let's move on to... The longest book I read was actually Magic Study at 419 pages. The shortest book was Letters from Father Christmas. I figured that with an audiobook of 2 hours and 7 minutes, it was probably going to be less than 200. And when I did look it up on Goodreads, there was a copy there that had 163 pages. So that was definitely the shortest book I read. The oldest book I read was, again, Letters from Father Christmas. As I say, it was published back in September 1976. The newest book I read was The Damned by Renee Ahdieh, which was published in July 2020. The highest rated on Goodreads, this shocked me because Caraval, I'd have thought Caraval would have been highest. Anyway, it was Letters from Father Christmas. People love that book. It had the highest rating of 4.28. And Caraval was only just over 4. So, I mean, people loved that little book. I definitely want to get myself a copy. The lowest rated also shocked me because it was the contemporary Inner Holidays by Christina Lauren with just 3.73 rating on Goodreads. And I thought contemporaries would be loved by people, but apparently not. Well, 3.73 is still a good rating. It's not low by any means, but it shocked me. I thought maybe some of the more indie published books might have been lower, but maybe when people read them, they do love them. So maybe that brought it down. My least fave was Inner Holidays. It's contemporary. I mean, need I say more? I'm not a contemporary reader. I try to read them every now and again because one day I'll find one I love. I did love Book Lovers though by Emily, whatchamacallit. But yeah. But my most fave, it has to be between these two. And I think because it was the first book and because I was first introduced to these characters, and the second book I was used to these characters, I was used to the storyline, I think it's got to be Wicked as my most favourite of the month for December, because I was introduced to this whole new world, this whole new idea of this order hunting the Fae and sending them back to the other world because Fae are feeding off humans and killing humans and enslaving humans as well to be their little, you know, to do as they please with them and things like that. And to be introduced to this whole world with these characters and the way that the Fae in here are showcased and written up, it was just so different and not what I'm used to. And I really loved it. Fae in here are definitely the bad guys, and in a lot of like Fae books, the Fae people are seen as this magical, amazing creatures. But actually, you know, folklore does tell us that the Fae are wicked and not very nice, especially not to humans. So this really did feel like a breath of fresh air to me, and I love this so much. I had to buy the sequel. As soon as I finished the last page, I was straight onto Amazon ordering the second one. So this has to be my favourite book of December 2022. So that is it. That is my reading wrap up for December 2022. Let me know if you want me to do a whole year wrap up of the year, because if you want to hear like my whole stats, so like the total books for the whole year, the physical pages for the whole year, let me know if you want me to do that. I don't know if you want me to, because you've been getting the monthly stats, but if you do want that like roundup for the whole year, and it will just be the stats basically, and then I'll go through which was the longest book of the year I read, the shortest book of the year I've read, and that sort of thing. Let me know if you want me to do that. If you do, I will get that filmed for you as soon as possible. My mental health isn't great again at the moment. I'm struggling again. That's why a couple of my videos are late this month, but I will get it filmed for you if it's something that you want to see. But yeah, thank you very much for watching. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, please like, comment and subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye.